Greetings! If you viewed my Prezi for this Avenue project, where we need to create a D versus T graph, you probably noticed this very graph here and may be wondering, how do I create one? And so I'm going to help you do exactly that. We're going to use Logger Pro, and I'm going to show you the things you need to do to create your own graph of this style to work with your Prezi presentation. Alrighty. Here is our data table. Now, I'm going to move a little closer so I can get a better view of what's happening over here. The first thing I can do is title it. Now, I'm not going to name it anything too creative at the moment, but I could name it the title of my story. But for the time being, we'll save the creativity for later and go name it D versus T. Indeed. Okay, well, what is that going to be for? Well, of course, on the x-axis is time. All right, so I double click here, as you notice. This will highlight a bit, and I can throw in the header for the column. All right, and what's really neat about Logger Pro is that you can put a name, a short name, and the units. That's something that other programs don't really do, and so I think it's important to carry those units. And for the x-axis, of course, we're going to use time. Time it is. Short name, T, units. In the MKS system, they are seconds. And there we go, time in seconds. And then the y-axis, not surprisingly, will be displacement, like so. Short name, D. Units are meters. Those are the units in the MK system for length. And so here we go, we got time and D. As you'll notice over here, if I drag this, it will show the full name if I make this a little wider, like so. But then, I'm covering my head. So I'm just gonna move it back. There we are. We have D versus T. So that's how we roll. What I'm going to do is start inputting some of the data. So what I thought of at first, of course, is that, hey, we always start at time 0 and location 0. From there, I really thought of the locations first. How far away from the origin would I be traveling? Well, first thing, though, is I hang out at the origin for a little while. So actually, I have a second 0 meter interval, so that this indicates, all right, I'm going to stick around this location and do something there. Then I travel to location 8,000, and I hang out there. So, no. I hang out there for a while, and so that's what the second 8,000 is for. All right, 8,000 meters in the positive direction away from the origin. From there, I travel to location 9,000. So I kind of thought about this whole thing in terms of an actual map relative to the locations in Greater Hartford, some facilities that I kind of knew about that I liked. So that's what I chose. And what I went to, let's see, after 9,000, I decided to go to location 6,000, negative 6,000 rather. And that means that I traveled from location 9,000, past location 8,000, and also past the origin to get to location negative 6,000 meters. Relative to the origin. And from there, I went closer to the origin to location negative 1,000, hung out there for a little while, and then, as is required by this project, I returned to the origin and then chill out there for a bit. What I thought about later were modes of transit. I wanted my modes of transit as required to be different, and so for the first one, I thought, okay, I like bikes, I will choose an interval of time that's close to that. So I actually analyzed this on my own. This is something you'll have to do, but I'm just going to throw in the values that I had over here just so you can see how the graph is going to be developed. So we have I hung out for 600 seconds, which is about 5 minutes at the original location. Then 1900 seconds, and you notice that this thing is rolling time. It always will increase. It takes about 3 hours for this whole entire story, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to put all this in here so we can see what's happening and how this develops in the end. So I thought of different modes of transit. There's walking and some kind of funny ones like jetpack, and let's see, I also flew a glider, a Wright Brothers glider, and so there's really some interesting ways to get around, and I hope you come up with interesting ones too. But I tried to find velocities that would be about the same using the definition of velocity, d minus d naught over t minus t naught, and that's how I did it. I chose that. And what we'll see later is that the slopes kind of will match it and make sense when I use the analysis features at the very end. But I'm just trying to input my data here, and I only got a few more before showing you how this actually will work. 9720. Okay, two more to go. Very good. Hang on. We're almost there, and that's what it is. And skating, that was the last one. So this is 11,000 as I had it. So the whole thing takes, yeah, about 3 hours, this lovely voyage. All right. So I'm going to go here up to graph, like so. And it kind of made this messy graph over here. But we will actually make some sense of it once I expand it and get my head back in the whole situation here. I kind of feel a little... So what if I move this to the back? Oh, there I am. And move this to the back. And now I'm in front of this, which is very cool. All right. You kind of see the dots here. That's good. That's our data. So we've got dots here, dots here, dots here. Everything is cool, except it doesn't look so great at the moment because we need to connect these dots. All right. How do we do that? Well, if we click options, no. How do we do it? We go to graph options. There we go. And under graph options, I can connect points like that. So I went to graph options, click that, and also have this over here, connect points. Title. The title is, well, I'll just say D versus T again. Or actually, let's spell it out. Displacement versus BAS time, like that. All right, notice that we have our chart here. All right, we're kind of at the fringe. That's not so good. Well, no. Okay, we can fix that. Double click here. And we can see that we need a little more room at the top. So instead of having the cap at 9,000, I'm going to go to 10,000. All right, there we go. So I clicked on the side here, brought up axes options in the graph options window. I threw in the top. Maybe you could do an auto scale, but I prefer it this way. And so there's the basic. So I've got to admit, I feel a little bit claustrophobic because I've been underneath this graph for a while. So I'm going to come forward a little bit. And here's how I do it. I can move this graph to the back. What's miraculous is that my voice wasn't muffled up at all. It wasn't like, no, that's the beauty of computer screens like that. My voice was still really great. All right, as always. So here I am, and here's our graph. And we're at this point over here where I want to throw in some text boxes to label what's happening. And so I'm going to go to the insert menu up here, and we want to insert text. And it's giving me this text box. It's a blank text box, and I'm going to do a few things to it to my liking, like I did in my own piece before instead of this demo one. And I'm going to right-click and see text options, and what I see is a font. I'm just going to keep that. You can choose a different font, but I'm going to change the background color to one that's I prefer a darker color, so I'm going to go to use the wheel here and go to like a greenish thing, which I did for the label, like so. All right, and also I'm going to go back to text options, and alignment will be center. Okay, and now what we have here is I can type in the text, and so I started at the CT Connecticut Science Center, and I'm going to highlight that with my mouse and right click, and then what I can do is change some of the things about that font. I got a font and show fonts, and I got this whole menu here, and I could change its color. Let's make it a light color instead of a dark color so it shows up better against the darker background, like this. I'm going to make it bigger. Let's say a font size of 24. We should do pretty well like that. All right, knock these out over here, and that looks beautiful. And then I just take the rails, shorten them up. Ooh, look, it's scaled. Hey. And then I can move this to wherever I want down here like that. Okay, so that's how you do labels. What about the next piece? How did I get those cool slopes that zoomed in and out? Well, the zoom in and out was Prezi, but I'll show you how I got that graphic in the first place. It has to do with something we used before for battery buggies, and that's this linear fit thing over here. What I do is I click drag like this. You see the blue? I have to go underneath to do this. I understand. I'm gone. But I click, drag, and create a blue window spanning the 2 dots of the slope. And then all I do is click on linear fit, and there it is. Look at the slope is about 6 or so, 6.154 meters per second. And I would do that for each of the slopes. So I create another slope, like another selection of 2 dots, linear fit, and this velocity is nearly 1 meter per second. So this was the walk, the other one was the bike. And so you can see these slopes are steeper, so it represents another form of transit. This one was the jetpack over here, like that. No, it wasn't the jetpack. This is the Wright Brothers thing. Negative 15 meters per second. And if I want to bring all that stuff back, you'll notice that the label's gone, and so am I. So I move this guy to the back, and poof, the label comes back, and so do I. So there's a way to rearrange stuff like this. And then I did a screen capture and pasted it into Preview or Paint or something like that, and it worked with it from there. Saved it as a file, brought it into Prezi, and it's all beautiful. All right. Well, with that, Morad out.